us. We are here for the recording of your pop culture, no, art appreciation, aesthetics, the philosophy of art. So this is going to be a very quick video, and since we are on a holiday, I hope you would watch this before you enter my class for this week, or for those who might have missed it. This will make up for the live lectures. So when you talk of arts, one of the subjects that we talk about should be, as we define art, one of the things that would come out in the definition of art would be aesthetics. So what is aesthetics? So we're going to take a look at the aesthetics. And we begin with this introduction. Over the past few decades, the philosophy of art has enjoyed a remarkable revival. More and more studies are being devoted to the philosophical or theoretical probing into questions about the meaning of art. So basically, class, itong lesson na to, sinusuportahan pa rin niya yung discussion na ano nga ba ang art? Ang art ay yung anything that, refers to things that are beautiful, things like that. And what is beautiful? One word would usually pop out, and that is aesthetics. Ano nga ba yung aesthetics? So when you try to look at this, okay, plug in lang natin. This painting, for example, this is painting by Picasso. And by the way, this is dedicated to his friend who died, also an artist who, I think it's like a, sorry to go warning, suicide. So he dedicated this to a friend. So this is the old guitarist. So when you try to look at this, do you think it's beautiful? Well, it has some aesthetic appeal to it. Sinabi natin aesthetic appeal. You find it attractive. You find it beautiful. Things like that. So, but what is beautiful? The saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We're going to dissect that today. In the art world, the permanent drive for renewal has urged more and more artists to turn to the philosophy to support the concepts of art. As people try to consume art, people are trying to sell a lot of products called art. Okay. There's also a lot of debate about, is that art? Yeah, this is art. No, that's not art. All right. And as we will be asking you to give me your own definition of art and what is not art by giving me examples. Okay. For some, this might be art, and the other one, okay, this painting the old guitar might not be art. It might probably just be a sad reminder of, somebody else's life who has gone to waste because of misery. Okay. Or, do you find, I don't know, so things like that. So moving on. Aesthetics is the philosophical argument about the nature of beauty. It is a debate about beauty. So, aesthetics, ano pinapintas? Anong maganda? Maganda ba yan? May appeal ba yan? Well, kung anong maganda kay Pedro, hindi maganda kay Juan. So, what is aesthetics? Is it a matter of personal taste? Or are we talking about some kind of standard here? Okay? So, it's an idea central to an exploration of art. Aesthetic deals with notions of taste, cultural conventions, ideas of being good or bad based on specific cultural information and beliefs, and the judgments we make based on our perceptions. As deep as visual art is embedded in the fabric of our life, it still is the source of controversy and irony. It thrives on common experience that contradicts ideas of ourselves. So, ang dami yung sinasabi dito, pero yun nga yung pina-plug in niya. So, pag sinabi mo na aesthetics, our notion, our idea of what is good, bad, classy, trashy. So, whose standard? Is this a matter of personal standard? Or do we also have to agree to cultural or societal standards of that, of what the majority thinks, not only of what you think? So, ito yung arguments dito. So before we can agree on the definition of aesthetics, first we must agree on the functions of art. Here are the things that you need to consider. Ano nga ba kasi yung purpose ng art? Before we say something is art, or artistic or even aesthetically appealing. Ano nga ba kasi yung function niya? So here we have on this page the non-motivated functions of art and the motivated functions of art. Pag sinabi mong non-motivated purpose of art, okay, are those which are integral to being human, transcend the individual, or do not fulfill a specific external purpose. So, these are universal. Yung tipong you don't need to argue. For example, it's a matter of, or it's beyond utility. So that, for example, when you say, okay, art fulfills the function of, the very basic things like harmony. It gives us balance. It gives us rhythm. Okay, these are non-arguable terms. Okay, we need art because it gives us the function of experiencing, tapping into the mystery. Okay, not only beautiful, but sometimes you need to experience the mystery. Okay? The mystery in poetry, the mystery in music, because this will probably try to motivate us. Okay? Number 3 function is the expression of the imagination. Can you imagine if we are not allowed to express our imagination? There's no art. Then we become robots. Okay? So it would be a boring, boring world. And when you talk of universal communication, of course, that's one of the very basic functions of art. If you cannot say it, sing it with all your heart. Paint it, mold it. Ganyan. Di ba? Okay. Cook it, ikain mo na lang. And it's also, okay, number 5, ritualistic and symbolic functions. Art does satisfy some symbolic and ritualistic functions. It is also used performances, dances, okay, etc. Right? And when we go to the motivation functions of art, the purpose of art, when you say motivated, this is intentional. Yeah, non-motivated is the unintentional, meaning it's integral. It's very important, parang non-debatable. So ito, okay, so, well, I believe this one communication, tries to transcend 2 areas. It is integral and at the same time motivation. So yun nga, we use art to communicate to the other human beings, and at the same time, okay, on this motivated function, yun nga, nabasted ka, gusto mong iparating sa isang kanta, manliligaw ka, daanan mo na lang sa kanta, yun yung motivated na function. Okay? Yes? All right. And you want to entertain. These are purposive. Okay? So you also use art some kind of an avant-garde. So you want to be a part of a political movement, right? So you engage into art. You engage into activism. Okay, Dadaism. You will get to meet these art movements. Okay, so yun yung ibig sabihin ng avant-garde. You involve into art, okay, for political reasons. Okay, and that's simply a matter of aesthetics. It's already a cause. And art for psychological and healing purposes. Yes, of course. You remember that you get to be involved into artistic forms when you actually need some psychological help. Diba? Pag nabasted ka, yun. Gusto mong, when you're down and out, you really look for ways and means. And art gives you the comfort that solace. You get to be so extremely creative when you go through the healing process. And I think you and I can both agree on this. Okay? And art for social inquiry and subversion of anarchy, politically motivated, and for commercialism. These 2 are, okay, for political purposes. And then we go to personal, social, and physical functions of art. This is a personal function of art. We can say the first function of art is individual or personal. When you ask an artist why he or she does art, it's a very personal. Okay? Well, for example, an artist produces artwork to satisfy their own desire. Trip mo eh. Di ba? Walang basagan ng trip, sabi nga natin. They probably get an affirmation. It gives them confidence. It gives them an identity. It makes them feel good. It makes them special. Okay? In a way, according to Jeremy Bentham, this is a bit utilitarian in nature. When you want to make an art and thus you gain status, that of being an artist, in a way, it's self-serving. It is utilitarian. It gives you great happiness, joy, status, sometimes influence and power. And that is okay. So art, okay, as a personal, can be highly utilitarian. And who cares? You know, you want to use art as a tool to get to some personal agenda. That's okay. Right? B, social function. Art can also give us a lot of social function. If tipong you don't go you go beyond your personal needs. Like you want to send a message out there. Take for example this one. This is a painting that is so grotesque yet very powerful. This was an artist done by a woman who just wants to express the pain of losing her sons to war. She lost her sons to World War I and World War II, a grandson, and I don't know if it's a wife, like a generation. That's why you see, like a past and a present. She wants to communicate the pain of war. Kaya nga galing sa kanya, she lost loved ones to art. And he wants to really come up with a message that war, is no good. War is evil. War is suffering. Nobody wins in war. Okay? So itong si Kollwitz na ito. Okay? She's a German artist. Sabi niya, Death and the Mother. So this is her art. Very moving, di ba? So a lot of artists out there really want to champion a cause like Kollwitz. And they really want to send a message, sometimes in a more satirical manner. So, especially yung mga veteranong artists, they have gone beyond establishing their career. So, they have already reached the stage where they want to use their art as a platform to be part of something bigger than their art. This is probably the stage now. And of course, letter C, art serving the physical function, specifically sa mga installations. For example, this water picture. Okay, is actually excavated as a Romanian picture. And when you try to put it into a place, it actually creates a space, and it's like a talking piece, a piece of conversation. Okay, that is one of the physical function. Like an art is a physical thing. So pinag-usapan, ay, ang ganda naman. Wow, Antigo. Like, where is this? What is this? What's the message? What's the story? Okay. So before an art becomes a message to be brought into the world, it is first a physical thing. And therefore it has a physical function. You try to touch and feel it and tries to create a physical aesthetics. It has a very specific dimension. Okay? Ganda talaga. Yun lang naman. Right? So we go through the different philosophers of art. What are different philosophers? Okay. Look at art. Plato would say art is mimesis. Ano yung mimesis? Anyone? Tingnan natin. Problems with imitation. Okay, here's your pop question. If you can come across some Google definition of mimesis, please put it on the comment section below. Okay, but let's try to go ahead with Plato. Okay. Imitation. Yung problema, sabi ni Plato. An imitation is a an imitation is a, there could be some typo error here, but she said it has something to do with when you try to imitate something, it tries to remove the reality or truth of something. Okay, so that when you talk about the problems of imitation on the epistemological and on a theological basis, there is a problem here when you say epistemological and theological. Masyadong malalim na itong Plato na ito, no? Okay, sige. Let's try to simplify by saying that, okay, dito muna tayo. The problem of imitation on a moral and psychological. Plato might say that sometimes art is a matter of imitation. Okay, I'm not sure if that's what you got. in the definition of mimesis. And the problem with that is, you say a good imitation can undermine the stability of even the best of humans by making us feel sad, depressed, and sorrowful about life itself. Sabi niya, when you try to imitate reality or life through art, kung minsan, ina-undermine daw niya yung okay, stability, even the best of humans by making us feel. Sometimes hindi raw maganda to kasi pinapaalala niyo sa atin yung mga negative things about life. So sometimes art has the tendency to dwell on the negativity. So that's when okay, you say a good imitation, it really okay can bring out the worst in humans. Maybe. Yeah, I hope I got what Plato wants to say. Okay, so dito rin sa theological, poets and other artists represent the gods in inappropriate ways. He thinks that art, you must be very careful when you try to imitate art and capture art, because a lot of poets and artists try to represent gods in their art. They cannot fathom God. They cannot represent, and sometimes it leads to misrepresentation, and he thinks it's unartistic. Art does not give enough justice to capture the divine. So, kasi yun yung God's pinagsasabi niya. Para bang sinasuggest niya na when we do art, dapat dito lang sa mundo. Okay? So, parang wag na nating i-imitate yung mga mundo na hindi natin kayang, i-represent. Like gods and goddesses, the divinity. Kasi nung unang panahon siguro, uso-uso sa kanila yung paggawa ng mga capturing yung mga gods, demigods, yung mga mythology. Alright? I think that is what I get from it. Then we go to Aristotle, okay, on his idea of poetics, said art is representation. So if Plato, art is mimesis, kay Aristotle naman, art is representation of poetics. And imitation is natural to humans, sabi niya. Okay lang yan, mag-imitate tayo. Okay? So, imitation is how children learn. Okay? And we all learn from imitation. Tragedy can be a form of education, provides moral insight and postures. Okay? Tragedy is the imitation. Okay? Ito yung idea ni Aristotle sa mimesis. So what I was asking a while ago was according to Plato. So, because it can differ from one philosopher to another. So, tragedy is the imitation of certain kinds of people and action. So, yun naman sa kanya daw ang hindi maganda. When we try to imitate certain kinds of people in action, it's a tragedy. But there are good tragedies. So good tragedies must have certain sorts of people and plots. I'm not sure if the tragedy that he's talking about here would be some genres of art. Okay? Not the kind of tragedy that you know in English. So yun yung ibig niyang sabihin. Okay? Good tragedy as part of the drama, ganun ba? Okay? Good people experience a reversal of fortune due to some kind of failing or hamartia. A successful tragedy produces a catharsis in the audience. Yun nga, yung drama. Catharsis is purification. Sometimes when you're watching opera, nung unang panahon kasi mahilig sila sa mga drama which is actually live. So yun yung kanila tragedy. Mahilig sila sa pagsasadula, no? Okay. So, sabi niya, a good tragedy is when it tries to create catharsis. In psychology, catharsis is the feeling of empathy. Yung nakaka-relate ka. So when you're watching daw, yung mapapaiyak mo yung mga, parang, like how to watch a good drama. Okay, when you, get to consume all the tissues. Okay, so that's probably what a good drama, or like what makes a good horror movie. Yung tipong mapapasigaw ka, okay, talaga, at the top of your lungs. So I think, okay, that's what Aristotle is trying to say in poetics. So art is representation, and it better be good, that it actually draws catharsis in the audience. So, yun yung ating summary dito. Moving down kay Immanuel Kant, the critic of judgment. Okay, siya yung nagsabi na arts for art's sake, remember that. Okay, and he said, art doesn't have to be so philosophical. It just has to be so purposeless. So parang, can we not try to think about art? Can we just do it? And can we try to just have, go through our experience of art? The ways we appreciate and criticize work is therefore wholly commanded by aesthetic pleasure and delight, separate to the rest of the world. So can you just do art for art's sake? Doesn't have to be, so deep and so profound. And even like, pwede bang wala lang. Okay, maganda, okay, maganda. Okay, you don't have to be connected to something else in order for it to be maganda, right? Okay, so I think with that, okay, we have gone through the discussion of this, and I think I am going to attach a separate YouTube video here on okay aesthetics. Okay, what is we go back to the question, okay, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There's a debate on this, but for now, I would like to say thank you so much for listening.